the last few decades. He's been a faith leader. He's been a public servant. He's been an incredible leader for the Democratic Party here in Washington. You know him as a son of Brooklyn. You know him as a man of faith. You know him as an inspiring leader and public speaker. He never loses sight of his community, and he never loses sight of his why, of why he is here and why he's here to make a difference. So with that, I want to bring up our future speaker, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I think that's the best reception I've ever gotten in the United States Senate. But it's an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you so much, Senator Gillibrand, for your incredible friendship and leadership, for the amazing work that you do on behalf of the people of the great state of New York, and for recognizing the importance of the African American clergy, the foundation of our community, all across the state of New York. Of course, I know that from personal experience, having grown up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church. Great to be with all of you. My pastor, Reverend Aker, who is here. So many members of the clergy, but I also want to recognize, of course, Pastor Lacey, and communicate publicly my condolences on the passing of your beloved mom. And we're so thankful for what you are doing at the historic Bethany Baptist Church. It's wonderful to see all of you for this convening, because this is a very challenging time in the United States of America. One of the reasons why I'm so thankful that Senator Gillibrand is on the front line in making sure that we continue to try to move the country forward, while at the same time there are people who are determined to turn back the clock on the progress that has been made, the hard-fought progress in areas of racial justice and social justice and economic justice. And we're not perfect. There's still a long way for us to go. But there are determined forces in this country that don't like the progress that has been made and have brought to us another backlash moment in the United States of America. The reality is that whenever progress has been made in this country, it's always triggered a backlash. You know, progress was made in emancipation and the Reconstruction amendments. That period of time, the 13th Amendment, prohibiting slavery pursuant to the Constitution, the 14th Amendment, establishing the principle of equal protection under the law, 15th Amendment, theoretically guaranteeing the right to vote regardless of race. That Reconstruction period lasted for about 13 years, from 1865 to 1878, 13 years, but then a backlash ensued. The North pulled out of the South, Jim Crow rose up, the KKK was established, the black codes were imposed, a lynching epidemic took hold, and the Supreme Court decided in Plessy versus Ferguson that separate and unequal was effectively constitutional. A backlash moment following the progress that had been made. And that lasted for decades until a new generation rose up. Dr. King, of course, a man of faith, Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, John Lewis, so many others rose up to try to usher in a new era of progress in the United States of America. That's exactly what they did with the Civil Rights Movement and the progress of the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act, Medicare, Medicaid, the War on Poverty, Head Start, the Elementary and Secondary School Act, all of the progress made during the Civil Rights Movement and the Great Society to continue to move America forward. But of course, the reality of the situation is that when that progress is made, it generally triggers a backlash. And so in 1968, of course, we saw that Dr. King was assassinated. A few months after that, our senator from back home, Senator Kennedy assassinated in June on his way to the presidency. And then in November of that year, 1968, the backlash was complete when Richard Nixon was elected, running on the anxiety that existed amongst many in America at the progress that had just been made. Progress followed by backlash. And then that led to anti-busing, anti-affirmative action, anti-government. And in 1971, during Nixon's first term, the rise of mass incarceration, when the failed so-called war on drugs began. July of 1971, less than 300,000 people incarcerated in America at the time. Today, about 2.2 million. Disproportionately Black, Latino, or low income of every race. Progress followed by backlash. So then we fought through that, as we always do. And then a new moment of progress that all of you helped to bring about happened in 2008. A new hope is elected, Barack Obama. What a wonderful thing that we could go from the outhouse all the way to the White House. Progress ushered in. And the Affordable Care Act and all of the other things that President Obama was able to accomplish. Senator Gillibrand was right there every step of the way, helping to get it done in the House and in the Senate. But the thing is, at the time, y'all remember, there were people who said, the election of Barack Obama, does this mean that we are now entering into a post-racial America? Y'all remember that? Sounds impossible that people were thinking it, given what we are dealing with right now. But that was the question. And a lot of us were hopeful, because America is a great country, an amazing country. We always march toward a more perfect union. But I think those of us who were familiar and anchored in history understood that the progress that was decisively represented by the election of Barack Obama, an amazing thing for the United States of America, was likely to trigger a backlash. And that's exactly what we saw happen. And it began with the Tea Party in 2010. Their theme was, we want our country back. Wait, who took it from y'all? Tells you kind of what those folks were thinking. And then in 2013, the Supreme Court strikes down Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act and unleashes a new era of voter suppression that we are dealing with to this very day. And then the backlash moment was intensified, of course, in 2016 with the election of so-and-so. Running on the racist lie that he perpetrated for 5 years, that Barack Obama was not born in the United States of America, rode that in to the White House, lost the election, and then incited a violent insurrection right here in this Capitol. Progress followed by backlash. So we're in a backlash moment. But the thing about being in a backlash moment in this country, we've always had people, heart and soul and talent and ability and resilience to push back against the effort to turn back the clock. And it's always been led by men and women of faith. And so we're calling upon you, of course, once again, in this moment to help make sure that we can confront the backlash. Jamal Bowman, good to see you. Mercedes, good to see you. Others, confront the backlash and continue our march toward a more perfect union. I end with this thought that gives me some hope. I was here on that fateful day, that real backlash moment on January 6th, when the Capitol was overrun at the time. As many of you know, Waterman knows, I was the chair of the House Democratic Caucus, so that made me the number 5 Democrat at the time. So I had the honor of being seated in the leadership section. And I was right next to the great Jim Clyburn and Steny Hoyer. Nancy Pelosi was at the rostrum. The number 4 Democrat at the time, my good friend Catherine Clark, she's amazing, she's the whip right now, she was off campus. So Steny Hoyer, number 2 Democrat, Clyburn right next to me, number 3, Speaker Pelosi, sitting at the rostrum. I'll never forget it, because all of a sudden, in the middle of the debate, the sergeant of arms interrupts the debate and says, the mob has breached the Capitol. They're on the 2nd floor, a few steps outside of the House chamber. So be prepared to hit the ground and secure the gas masks that are underneath your seat. I got to be honest, y'all, I've been in the Congress at that point a little over 4 terms. I had no idea there were gas masks underneath each and every seat. And so I thought to myself, well, damn, this is a situation. I got clearance from Lacey, damn is in the Bible. And then I see Speaker Pelosi aggressively removed by her security team. And then security team comes right up close to me, and they remove Steny Hoyer, House Majority Leader, number 2 Democrat. Then they come right up next to me, and they say to Jim Clyburn, the great Jim Clyburn, sir, you have to leave now. So I'm sitting there, you know, Hakeem Jeffries, number 5 Democrat. I see Speaker Pelosi, she's number 1, she's removed. Steny Hoyer, House Majority Leader, number 2 Democrat, he's removed. Jim Clyburn, great Jim Clyburn, number 3 Democrat, sir, you have to leave now. Number 4 Democrat, Catherine Clark, she was off campus. I'm sitting there, Hakeem Jeffries, number 5 Democrat. I was waiting for somebody to come get me. But as Senator Gillibrand knows, they never came. So Acre, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, it's a good thing I'm from Brooklyn. It's a good thing I'm from Brooklyn. Because at the end of the day, we've got to be prepared to fight for our democracy. And the good thing is, growing up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church, I realized that the story didn't end on Friday. I think I said something. The story didn't end on Friday. I said the story didn't end on Friday, because a setback is nothing more than a setup for a comeback. And the good news about that day and the good news about America is that we came back to the Capitol, we completed our work, we certified the election, we made sure that Joe Biden will become the President of the United States of America, that the peaceful transfer of power would endure, that democracy would hold, and as long as together, men and women of faith, we continue to speak up, we continue to show up, we continue to stand up, then we will win once again. We will move forward, not go backward, forever forward, and get through this backlash moment and continue America's march toward a more perfect union. God bless each and every one of you.
All right, if anybody needs a selfie with Hakeem, you got to go outside with him. He's on his way. Thank you, Hakeem. That was magnificent. It was perfect. It was inspiring, and we are all ready.